Welcome to Tower to Garden to Table, using produce to create healthy meals. Our first presenter will be Elizabeth Smith, Dr. Elizabeth Liz Smith. Liz joined MTSU in the fall of 2017. She's currently starting her 5th year as an assistant professor in the Nutrition and Food Science Department and is a registered and licensed dietitian. Dr. Smith teaches a variety of nutrition classes, including Medical Nutrition Therapy 1 and 2, Nutrition Coaching and Counseling Skills, Community Nutrition, and Nutrition and Obesity. Dr. Smith provides leadership to the new Master of Professional Studies Leadership and Nutrition program. Prior to joining MTSU, Dr. Smith was a family and consumer sciences educator and supplemental nutrition assistance program regional program specialist at The Ohio State University. Dr. Smith worked in the clinical dietetics area in multiple capacities, including pediatrics in the past. Liz has also had an interest in community nutrition education and working with people to increase their veggie and fruit intake. The Tower Garden Project is her latest effort toward this mission. Co-presenting is Nurse Laura Grissom, LPN she's a Health and Wellness Program Coordinator at St. Clair Street Senior Center. Laura's role at the center includes helping seniors stay or become physically, emotionally, and socially healthy. She leads exercise classes, fall prevention programs, and health-related sessions. She works with the community, bringing in guest speakers to educate St. Clair's participants on topics that are relevant to this population, including medical, social, and mental health. Previously, she worked in St. Clair's Adult Day Services, service with seniors who needed supervised care and was also the nurse on duty. She received her LPN from Tennessee Technology Center and is a certified dementia practitioner and is also certified as a senior fitness specialist and fitness nutrition specialist. And here is Dr. Smith.
So I know a lot of faces here, which makes me really excited because we absolutely love to go program with St. Clair's. So when they asked me to do this presentation, they said you had to have a community partner. And I said, well, that's really easy because that's probably, honestly, secretly our favorite place to go. So my students absolutely love going to St. Clair's. So when we were looking at doing this project that I'm going to explain, that was the very first place that I decided that I wanted to call to see if they'd be willing to partner with us. So what we're going to talk about today is our Tower Garden project that we started in 2020 and how that kind of went through 2020, and then I've got a little video for you, and then we're going to go into kind of our plans now with the Tower Gardens, and then the real surprise is you get to see my students in action, which is something I always love to do. If I'm going to go out and do something, I love to take my students. So you'll get to meet our MT Nutrition team, and they're going to make some recipes for you today from the Tower Gardens. So we are part of Human Sciences at MTSU, and I do teach in the dietetics program. Actually, starting in August, I'll be taking over as the director of the dietetics program. So that is something new for me, not exciting, but new. And so this project, when we started this project out, what we wanted to do is to see if the produce that we were going to grow on these towers would actually be something that would help the seniors from St. Clair's increase their intake of these vegetables and herbs. And what we did is we worked with a group of, well, actually, we found a grant, and I'll show you that here in a second. But what we're trying to do, again, is to see if by providing these, it actually increased intake. What we know is that most people do not get enough vegetables in their diets. And so by supplying them and by providing recipes and by providing education, we were hoping that that kind of a mix would actually increase intake. So the benefits of the produce, and you're going to hear a little bit about this when the kids do the recipes as well as my student team, But what we're looking for are the benefits of antioxidants, the benefits of different vitamins like vitamin C and vitamin E. It's helpful for your eyesight. It's helpful for your cardiovascular system, helpful for your immune system. Those are just a few of the things that we know help. So this was a partnership, like I mentioned, between MTSU and St. Clair's. When I started this partnership in 2020, I had 4 students that were interested in the project, so it was 4 seniors and the St. Clair Center. That has since grown. I now have about 12 students that help take care of the towers in my program. So again, MTSU dietetic students and the St. Clair's team. What I want you to notice from some of these slides that will be coming up is the towers. So I tried to put lots of pictures of the towers. What you're gonna see as I explain how the towers work. Absolutely the easiest way to grow. I do not do well. I do not have a green thumb. My husband is clearly the gardener in my house, but really it's really hard to kill much on these. And they just grow so much. I would always tell my students, go in and harvest, take some home. Please go in and take stuff off the tower gardens because they just, it's amazing. You'll be surprised at how fast they grow. So we did get a grant to do this project. MTSU does a public service grant. And so again, when I looked at this grant, you have to partner with someone in the community. And like I say, it was kind of a no-brainer just to go ahead and say, you know, Laura, would you guys be willing at St. Clair's to partner with us? So we were able to get 2 tower gardens to start with. And those tower gardens, roughly with everything, were about $2,600. But that included the Rockwell that I'm going to explain about here in a few minutes and some of the food and things like that, seeds. So it was really kind of all-inclusive with the grant. So in terms of how you grow on the towers, again, it's very, very easy. I'll show you, I think there'll be some pictures coming up that you'll see the base of the towers. But basically, you're putting your water and your food in the base of the tower. And then you're using something called Rockwell. And it is like a spun kind of I don't know how to describe it, like a little cube. And it's been very heavily spun. And you're actually planting in that Rockwell and allowing your seeds to start to germinate before you put them into the towers. And so what, again, our hope is that with being able to provide this produce, that it would provide the nutrient intake that was kind of missing. So again, what we are hoping with this is to be able to provide a lot more nutrition in hand to the folks that we are working with. And the way that you work with these plants, again, is that the towers hold about 13 gallons of water. And for every gallon of water, you're putting in 20 milliliters of, there's a type A food and a type B. It's kind of like a Miracle-Gro, but it's specific for the tower gardens. So you're putting in 20 mils per gallon for your 13 gallons. So each time the students would have to make sure that they were putting in the proper amount of food. And then you're checking the pH. So each time that we added water, that we added food, we would always check our pH. And you want your pH to stay between 5.5 and 6.5. If the pH is not within that range, we would add acid or base depending on where the pH fell. The nice thing about the towers is that what you're going to do then is you're going to set the towers for the lighting, which is 14 hours at night. It's an LED light. And for the water. And so the way that the towers are designed is that they have tubing that goes up through the center, and every 45 minutes, the towers will automatically water for 3 minutes. So again, you put the water in the bottom, you put the food in, you check the pH, and then it's basically completely done for you. It's aquaponic. It just grows because it's getting the water and the light. We tend to run our lights, our LED lights, for 14 hours at night. So in the rooms that our towers are in, they get a little bit of natural sunlight. So we have our towers currently in one of our conference rooms in Ellington Human Sciences building. But at nighttime, we're actually then having the lights come on. Usually about 4 o'clock in the afternoon is when the tower lights come on. And again, I mean, the growth is just amazing. We grew herbs in one tower in 2020, and we grew greens in our other tower. And so we tried to kind of do a nice mix. In 2021, we've changed things up a little bit, and so when I get to 2021, I'll talk a little bit more about what we did that year. Those students kind of wanted to plan everything that was kind of mixed in. But we learned a whole lot from doing it in 2020 that we changed in 2021 to better be able to, first of all, know what was on the towers, be able to separate what we were giving people. That was probably one of our biggest problems the first year that you learn by trial and error. We took the greens off the one tower, washed them and harvested them, put them in bags, and took those over to the senior center, but they were all mixed together. Same thing with the herbs. We took the herbs off the other tower, we washed them real good, put them in bags, and took them over, but people were like, what's in here? And we did provide education material, we did provide recipes, and we tried to show even diagrams of what the different herbs look like, but mixing them together like that was definitely a problem. So again, we have learned the hard way that that was not the way to do it the first year. So this shows you more pictures. I really wanted to give you a lot of pictures of what we were doing. And again, you can see here how much they grow. It is really amazing. So these are the herbs. The last one that I showed you was green, so this is the herbs. We grew a variety of things. So in terms of herbs, the kids like to try different things. They're a little bit more brave and curious than I am. So, they want to do lavender and they want to do dandelion. And, we did the normal things too. I'm like, let's do some cilantro and some basil and things people know about, parsley. But they did like to try some of those odd things too. And then we did kale and we did spinach and we did romaine and we did salad greens. So our greens were very common to what people know, and that was in our second tower. So the advantages of doing this, and you don't have to use a tower, and I think that's something that's really important. You can use pots and grow in pots. I was over at a friend's house the other day, and she had a tomato plant, and she had just taken a little chicken wire fence and put it around it to keep the animals out, and it was doing great. The tomatoes we got for lunch were off of her plant. So you can grow in a pot. The advantage to this is that it does self-water and it does have the lighting, and you can grow it all year long. So we actually started our towers that we brought to the St. Clair in the fall the first year. But then the second year, we didn't start our towers until December, and they grew all winter long. So you have fresh produce all year long, which I think is really an advantage as opposed to doing an outside garden. And they don't take very much space at all. I think that was something that people are really worried about when you first see them. They do have the grow lights, but they are still about a little over 6 foot tall, and then with the grow lights in the base, they're just taking, we have them in the corner of a conference room, and they're really not taking up a lot of space. So what the students did in 2020 was they grew the produce, they harvested the produce and cleaned it, they bagged it up, and then you guys all know what 2020 was, right? So we started out the year where no one was at the senior center at the beginning of the year because of COVID. And so we did a drive-through. So the seniors would drive through, and my students would be there passing in through the window the produce, the herbs, and the recipes. And it worked just fine. Once the senior center opened, which was fairly quickly, then we took things in and gave them to Laura. We didn't actually go in and do a lot of education, which was part of the plan initially, just again because of kind of exposure and things. So we wanted to make sure that that was something that we were being cautious of. So we would take them in, leave them, and people could pick them up as they wanted to. And to us, that was one of the best things, was seeing the seniors who love the produce, or I used it and I made a big salad, or I used that herb in something that I made. Nothing is any better than when you're providing something and people are using it, and that was the whole goal of the project. Here's the harvesting, just to kind of show you kind of the process. I wanted you to kind of see some of what we did. So we would just use big baggies. They would clean it really, really good. We had a salad spinner, and we tried to dry it as well. And then they would put it in the baggies, and then, like I say, take it over to the center. Here it just shows them kind of growing, and that does show you a little bit better picture of how big the towers are. You can see the bases there. This is actually when we had them in our lobby, and I'll tell you about that in a second. We moved them from our lobby to our conference room, and I'll explain why in a second. And this is kind of why. So this shows you some of our seniors that initially did the project in 2020. You can definitely tell it's during COVID. They all have their masks on. And I'll show you in a sec what they were doing. This was our only problem that we have had with the towers, is our first year we had aphids. So our first year, we decided to get our plants from the person that we got the towers from, and so it was an existing greenhouse, and she had many, many towers. And we thought that would be the easiest thing, get the plants already fairly, they were a couple inches tall, put them in our tower and go. And they grew great, but they also got really bad aphids, like really bad. So students were constantly doing aphid checks, we were constantly washing, we were trying neem oil, we tried all kinds of things. I've had agriculture come over, please look at my towers, why are we getting all these aphids? So the second time we planted, because you can have things in the towers about 6 months before you have to take them out, throw them out, and clean the towers and start over. So we cleaned them really, really good. We even used a little bit of Lysol, made sure that we got all those aphids out. We are good to go. The students drove to the person's house. They got them there. They washed them out really good there before they left. They got back to our building. They washed them really good. They're like, don't worry, we're not going to have aphids. I'm like, okay. Sure enough, we had aphids again. I'm like, no. So what we did this year when we planted is we planted them ourselves. So we got our Rockwell. We got our little small little incubator kind of thing. We put our plants in there. About 3 weeks later, we had plants that were about 1 inch tall. We put them in our tower gardens. We have never had an aphid since. So the goal was for us is to stay in-house and not, use somebody else's plants that must have picked up one little aphid, and once you get one, according to ag, you can't get rid of them. We tried everything. We got ladybugs. We tried, everything. So again, kids spent a lot of time doing aphid checks. That was not their favorite job at all, but it was something out of necessity that we did. And then from that time, I actually had that group of students do qualitative interviews with the participants. So we got permission from the participants to call them and ask a few questions about how did they like the produce, did they use the produce, did it increase their intake, comments about the future. And again, obviously, like I mentioned, the one thing we heard the most is don't put all the herbs in one bag and all the greens in one bag. I don't know what they are. I don't like some of them. So, again, we learned definitely from that how not to do it the next time. And then since that time, I have actually written an article using that information, and it is in the process of being reviewed. It has been accepted, but it is now in the process of being peer reviewed. So that will be published eventually. I don't even know if Laura knows that. But, of course, not using any names or anything like that, but it will talk about the project and all the success that we saw with the project or what we think was a success. And so now, unless Laura wants to say anything before we get started, we have a little video that was actually on the Murfreesboro TV station about our project. We'll do the video first.
You've heard of farm to table, but what about tower to table? Well, that's what students at MTSU's Department of Human Sciences are researching and, in return, helping seniors.
So we've gone over and done other education on fruits and vegetables and realized that they needed more information, just more education, and we thought if we gave it to them and then also gave them the recipes, more likely to use it.
Through a $2,600 grant, students grow a variety of greens and herbs on these aeroponic towers and a year's worth of plants and training.
We're growing a variety of herbs and greens, and we're going to distribute them to the seniors with information recipes and other information about how it can affect their health and how it can help them.
Students are not only getting hands-on learning, they're also providing much-needed interaction with seniors from St. Clair, since the pandemic forced the center to cancel all inside activities.
We're not able to do as much face-to-face right now maybe, but at least with the delivery of the produce, we get to see them and spend a few minutes chit-chatting, so I think that's also important for them.
Each tower has 32 slots for plants. They're growing a variety of greens and herbs like kale, Swiss chard, oregano, even lavender, just to name a few.
We have quite a large number of things that we're growing that normally we would need a very large amount of square footage to do.
At the end of the project, students will interview seniors about how they use the produce and how they incorporated it into their diet. MTSU senior dietetics student Teresa Wilberscheid tells us this project will help her be a better registered dietitian when she graduates.
I think it's a wonderful project. I mean, we're giving back to our community. We're getting experience as students with the people that we're going to be working with in the future, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
The plant towers are located on the first floor of the Ellington Human Sciences building. Students hand out each week's harvest every Monday at St. Clair Senior Center. For City TV, Michael Lynn White.
So I wanted to talk about what we've done since then. And so this project went the full year of 2020. And then in 2021 in the fall, I had an emergency. I wasn't able to grow in the fall. So in December, I had a group of about 12 students. We came in, like I mentioned, and we planted our seeds in December so that when we came back from class in January, that we would be able to plant. And they were ready to go. We planted them right away when we got back. And then I was very fortunate. I had this group of 12 students who were really interested, and they took over. They took care of everything. They had their, task sheet. 2 of them came in each week, did the water, checked the pH. I really was kind of hands-off. I didn't have to do very much at all. It was great. Since then, though, we've done a couple different things with that produce. So we changed it up. Instead of bringing it over to the senior center like we had, we actually, first of all, did a media project. So we have a media department at MTSU, which is wonderful, and they wanted to do cooking shows. And so again, you're going to get to see my students use our kitchen a la carte here in a few minutes. We took this kitchen a la carte over to our media area, and we said, sure, we'd be happy to bring our students over to do recipes on the cart, but we want to do Tower Garden recipes. And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, anything with produce, herbs, that type of thing. So actually the recipes that you have today are the recipes that we actually had students going over. They were all videotaped by our media department, and we now have a whole series of Tower Garden recipes on video. And the reason that we are really excited about that is since this time, I've been able to acquire another tower, actually a donation from an alumni who works for this company. She donated a tower to us. And my initial plan was to put that tower in a recovery center in the area that I live. There was a women's recovery center that was interested. Well, since then, they were worried about space and worried about things. And so I said, well, I have a high school that's interested. So I took it over to Cannon County, and their FCS educator now has a tower in her classroom. So our plan with that is for them to grow, the high school kids to grow, and then we're going to take those videos into that high school classroom and allow the students to watch what the college students made, and then they're going to, in turn, try to make those recipes as well. And we just keep thinking the younger that you get people to use the produce and learn to grow and where their food comes from, the better. And so that is one of our new projects. The other project we did is that I also have in the past taught a coaching and counseling class. So you may have heard that I did that earlier in the introduction. And so my students, actually these seniors that are going to come up, will be doing that this spring. We always do it in the spring. And so again, I went to Laura and I said, hey, my students coach every year, and I would love to come over to the senior center and coach. And so my students went over once a week, and anybody who was interested, my students one-on-one coached them on nutrition. So if they were diabetic, or if they wanted to worry about hypertension or weight loss or whatever it was, as long as it wasn't in a new diagnosis, because they are not registered dietitians yet. So by standard of practice, they can't actually work with a new diabetic or something like that. But then they coached and they provided information and education and recipes, and I asked them to pick and take produce with them and give recipes for that produce as well. So we kind of used it in a dual kind of a mission. This time we did the media project, and we took it to the senior center for coaching. And what we're going to do in the future with our towers. So we still have 2 towers that right now are sitting completely empty, but yesterday we had a big in-service with FCS teachers around the whole state of Tennessee, and they were thrilled. They went in and were looking at them, taking pictures. And so I'm thinking we're hoping to get more high school teachers wanting them in their classrooms, again, to show kids where their food comes from. And so we're hoping to do more of that, but also we'll use it for our food labs and demonstrations. We hope to go back to St. Clair this year and coach, even though it won't be me, it'll be a different instructor. So we absolutely love to be able to give back and share what we've done. And so now I get to introduce, well, first of all, I'm going to have Laura talk a few minutes, and then I'll introduce my MT Nutrition team, and they can start to make some food for you guys.
everybody. I just have a couple of moments. I won't take long at all. I just wanted to say that the Tower Garden project that Dr. Smith reached out to me about in 2019 is really our well, that was the first email when you were talking about getting these gardens. And that was when the world was kind of normal. So we got really excited about being able to do this. And then, of course, when COVID hit and everybody shut down, I was like, oh, no, this is probably not going to happen. But I'll tell you, Dr. Smith and her students did not skip a beat. They just kept on keeping on, and they built their gardens. They planted, they harvested, and we just worked it out. We would keep brainstorming about what would be the best way to get these greens and herbs to our seniors. And we were doing some drive-through things at the senior center anyway with other projects, and so this just worked out perfectly. And they would come, and the students were all so sweet and polite, and it was just a fantastic way not only for them to be able to do the project that they were doing with their schooling, but for us to be able to see our seniors, because remember, this was COVID. So we were not seeing our folks, and we missed them terribly, and they missed us. So it was a great way for them to come through, for us not, like you said in the video, not just to get their herbs and move on, but we would chat with them. So it was a win-win for everybody. And I will tell you that the seniors that I've talked with that participated in this project, one of the first things they all said, or most of them said, was, I tried something I had never tried before. So I think that's always a good thing when you try something new. So maybe they had never had Swiss chard or fresh herbs. I mean, there's such a huge difference between a fresh herb and what you get in a bottle. If you don't know that, try fresh herb. So it was a really good way for our folks to try something new. And like I said, it was just another way for us to reach out and for our community partners to help our community during COVID. And like Liz was saying, the new one-on-one coaching that they did this year, that was just an amazing project as well. I got so much good feedback. So many folks came to me and said, those students taught me so much, and it has been such a help for me to know what I can eat, what I can't eat, what I should or shouldn't eat. And again, the students were so sweet to our seniors, and they really connect well. So both of the things, well, all of the things that I have done with Liz have been wonderful. She's a wonderful partner to have, and we are so glad to partner with you guys, and we plan on definitely doing more so in the future.
So again, it's kind of mutual. Definitely our favorite partner as well. It's very cute. It's always cute to watch the kids at the beginning. I will tell you, we went over and they're like, I've never worked with seniors. I'm really scared. And I'm like, it's like nobody, I mean, everyone is the same. Just go in. They were all like, oh my gosh, afterward, they were great. I'm like, so they absolutely loved going. Like they'd be like, okay, I can't wait till Wednesday. So it was really very much a win-win, because our students also realized that, seniors have so much to offer them. It's all that wisdom and experience, and it was really a great project. So now I get, to introduce my favorite part here. Not that St. Clair's is my favorite part too, but so we have something also in our department. We do a lot of fun, extra kind of curricular kind of things. And in my new role in the director position, I get to hire a team of students. They're called our MT Nutrition Team. And so this year I hired 3 students, and their goal really and mission is really to get out and do education. And it's primarily on campus, but when I knew that I was going to be coming over here, I said, ooh, can my MT Nutrition Team go with me? And they're like, sure. So I have 3 students this year. They are dietetic seniors, and they are going to do 2 recipes for you from the Tower Gardens and have tasting for you. So they have, we got over to our building a little earlier, and we kind of made a lot, so that they can just demo 1 recipe for you and then be able to let you taste what they made. And then, like I say, you do have all the recipes that we have made in the media. These recipes are included as well, and they'll talk about that. And so these students, again, they're senior dietetic students. I'm very, very proud of them. They've already started working hard. They had a kids camp this week. They helped with the teacher in-service yesterday, and then they've been here this morning helping with getting all of the ingredients ready to come over here. They helped Dr. Lee get bags ready for the conference. They're just really, really great students. So Owen Collins, Piper Smith, and Sydney Chapman are going to show you our kitchen a la carte and what we are able to do. Now, they're just going to use a blender and they're going to do a salad today. But this cart actually has an oven and it does have a burner, so you can do other recipes, and we do those when we do the media. But we're just doing something kind of lighter today. So I will let them come up and tell you all about the project.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. Like Dr. Smith said before, I'm Sydney. This is Owen and Piper. We're going to do a few demonstrations for you just to show how you can implement some of these really cool ideas and really cool ingredients from the Tower Gardens into some recipes. So Piper's going to get started for us.
So I'm going to start this out by making a spinach, banana, and peanut butter smoothie. So I will put that together right now.
This one will work? Okay, this one works.
Okay, so this recipe called for a banana and a half. So I'll just put the whole thing. Yeah, I'm just gonna drop it off and like that. Because it'll blend anyway. There we go. And then it called for 3/4 of a cup of spinach. And 2 tablespoons of flaxseed meal. There we go. Three tablespoons of peanut butter.
Mask the taste of spinach.
And a cup of almond milk. Three-fourths of a cup. And then I'm gonna add some ice into this just to make sure it's cold. Also, you could do frozen bananas instead of fresh, if you would like, or just do both, depending on how cold you would like your smoothie. There we go.
Turn it on.
Move it this way. Now's the part where you want to hold your ears. You can do that.
I can get this lid on.
There
complete smoothie, and we did make more this morning, so we'll pass those around here in just a second.
The next recipe we have is going to be the caprese salad. I think the recipe we are going to do is a little bit different than what is in the handout you guys got. We're using just extra virgin olive oil, not the balsamic vinegar thing.
Do what?
Yeah, it's a caprese salad. Like, yeah. Do we know where the other banana went? Or the mozzarella that we're going to use? That's not.
Here.
All right, so we already prepared most of them, but I'm going to do a little demonstration to show you guys how we do this. So the recipe is very simple. It's if you've never had one before, it's just the mozzarella, like a fresh mozzarella like this, and you would cut that into a, not too thin, but how big would you say that is? I don't really know. Yeah. And then you'll cut the tomato to about the same thickness. Let's see. Just like that. And then we have, did we have the basil? That's not.
I got it out right here. Oh, this, yeah.
And then you put the basil on the top. So all you want to do is just have your fresh mozzarella right there with the tomato on top. Or is it the opposite? Whichever way you want to do it. And then you want to add a little bit of the basil. You can use like a whole leaf. You can chop it up. I don't know if you want to eat a whole leaf of basil, but you can do whichever one you prefer. Put a little bit of that on top. And then we have this olive oil right here, but we have some other like flavors just so you can mix it up a little bit. There's a red pepper flavor and then also like a butter flavor that you could use. This is maybe not the best one to try to drizzle with, but the idea would be to just drizzle a little bit on top. But yeah, it's very simple. You can do it just like that. Or if you wanted to add a little bit more, you could do like a piece of French bread, put it on there, make it a little bit more hearty. But yeah, that's it. It's very simple.
Pretty simple stuff.
Yeah. And then we have a bunch of that too for you guys to try.
So, you guys enjoy it. Yeah.
And then if anyone has any questions while we're preparing it and getting it ready to hand out, you feel free to just let us know.
Also, as we come around, please let us know if you have any allergies, because some of this does have nuts, tomatoes, and black pepper, or just anything like that. So, and I'll ask again at each table, but
Dr. Lee has a question.
And everything.
It's on now. So what is the serving size of the smoothie?
The
Is it an
smoothie-
8-ounce serving size?
And this is,
What did we do? I think
here's
it
the
was 8
part.
ounce.
it was.
Yeah, it was for like the original recipe would just be 8
That
ounces.
might
You can
be
do
a
it in
little-
like the NutriBullet, like
Well,
the single serving blender.
I'll just try it.
Yeah.
I'll just try it.
Okay, I hear somebody
So when you
talking.
go
I
into
don't know where that's coming from. Somebody has like a microphone on. Isn't that weird? So Piper, the quantities that you said were for an 8-ounce serving. I just want to, is that right? Yes. Okay, thanks. Because I make really big smoothies when I make a smoothie, so I might need to double that recipe.
Is it pouring? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Do you want to put them on trays?
just a small. Oh, we have plenty, okay. Yeah, we have one more. I just. Smell peanut butter. I drink smoothies all the time. I love them. Like Debbie, though mine are much bigger than 8 ounces.
Are you limited to the type of vegetables you can grow? Like, my family consumes a lot of tomatoes and
Here you go.
cucumbers, and my question was, are you limited to the type of vegetables you can grow in this system?
So you can grow anything on the cover gardens except for vegetables, so you can't do potatoes, but you can do tomatoes, peppers. We actually tried experimenting a little bit at home with the tomatoes and peppers last year, and they grew beautifully, but because they were in our upstairs of our garage, they didn't pollinate because there weren't bees up there. So I self-pollinated, and we did get tomatoes and peppers. But if you take it outside, and some people, they are on wheels and you can take it in and out, then it could pollinate. So some people do them outside. We just chose to do ours inside. But you can do beautiful tomatoes, beautiful peppers. I've seen, kind of cucumbers, really big cucumbers, zucchini, anything like that. You just can't do like the potatoes, the root vegetables. There's other questions either about what they're making or about the tower garden. We're happy to answer questions. We're just kind of helping them prep, but feel free to ask us anything. They can also talk a little bit more about the nutrient value of the foods they made if you have questions about that as well.
Seems to be getting thicker at the bottom. I wonder how many more we need. It feels like we've done 40.
One cup.
Another pitch paper?
Who else needs one? Raise your hand if you would like. We have plenty of smoothie. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. I see some more hands. How about the back row? You want some of these lovely smoothies? Of course, we have a lot. They have a lot.
I'm gonna pour myself a cup.
Flaxseed? That's what I thought. I have another question. The nutrient value grown this way as opposed to growing it traditionally, is there a difference? Thank you.
Can I take this one over? Okay.
I know that with our recipes that we didn't include the recipe that Piper did in your packet. The caprese salad is in your packet, but it has the balsamic reduction, and we just didn't include that, but you can. But the recipe that Piper did is not in your packet. So I had someone ask me, and I'm going to have Piper go back through that. It was actually something that they developed. They made this up. So to be quite honest, when we made it this morning, we were like bringing in the executive aide in my building, going, taste this and make sure it's okay. But when she said she couldn't taste the spinach or the flax, then we knew it was a winner. So tell them the ingredients.
So this smoothie had a banana and a half of another one. It had 1 cup of almond milk, 2 tablespoons of flaxseed meal, 3 tablespoons of peanut butter, and about a cup or 2 of ice. Did anyone have any questions?
I have a question not related to your recipes.
Okay.
My granddaughter has some lettuce growing in her garden, and we were picking it yesterday, and there was like a white milky substance coming out of the stem. Is that normal? Is that edible? Kind of like when you pick a dandelion and you get the milky.
I have to be honest, when it gets into some of that, I'm not agriculture and I don't want to share what,
Okay.
I don't think that's dangerous, but I also don't want to give misinformation.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. Or call your extension office. The ag person from extension, they know all of that. When I worked with extension, the people would bring in their plants and say, what's wrong with these? And they were like really, really well educated in that area. So I just never want to give. You know, I said I didn't have a green thumb, so. I also had somebody in the back ask me about if there was any nutrient difference between growing things on a tower versus getting things, at the produce or the farmer's market or whatever. And I would say the only difference really is the fact that these are very, very fresh and they taste very fresh. So when I pick something off my tower versus what I buy from the store, you can taste the difference. They really are that good. And you're not transporting them, you're not, having them picked and then transported across the country or whatever. So the nutrients are going to be retained. So that would be the only thing that I might say is that they're not going to have any nutrient loss if you pick them and eat them right away. Yes, Piper's asking if it's organic. We do put in a food that's kind of like a Miracle-Gro that comes with the tower, but they are actually grown organically. I mean, that would be considered organic. You're not putting any kind of pesticides or anything like that on them. Are there other questions that we can answer? Did everybody like the smoothie? No? Oh, no. I heard yes. I heard one yes. So I think that it probably has a pretty strong peanut buttery flavor, right? That was a 100% peanut butter. Yes, you could do that. Strawberries would help it. Honey, yeah. And that's the thing, with a smoothie, you can add anything you want. That's the nice thing about a smoothie. We wanted to try the almond milk as kind of a change. We were going to use banana almond milk, but our purchaser couldn't find that. So we just used the straight almond milk. But you could use, any kind of a flavored almond milk as well, which might give it a little bit more sweetness. Or fruit juice, right? You could use yogurt. I mean, you can put anything in a smoothie. That's the nice thing about a smoothie. But you want to put your vegetables in it. So that's why we have the spinach in it. That was been grown on the tower. The other one had the basil on it, the fresh basil, and you can always tell a difference with the fresh herbs. Did you like the caprese salad? Okay, that was a hit. Just Piper's, not to throw her under the bus here. Yes, yes. And we go over, they're now working with the youth camp over on campus, and it's cute. We did parfaits the other day, and I'll tell you, those kids were asking for seconds and thirds of parfaits. So again, the sooner we can get them eating veg, we had blueberries and strawberries in it, and we had some granola on top, and then we limited the chocolate chips. Otherwise, it would have been yogurt with a whole handful of chocolate chips. But it was fun, very, very fun. Any other questions we can answer? I think we're about out of time.
Fairness to Piper, the last thing we all ate was a big cookie before we had this. So we went from the sugar overdose to so I
That's
really
right.
think that probably had a lot to do with it, I'm sure.
We have like 5 minutes, so if you want to, yeah. All right, Sydney wants to add a real quick thing about benefits of what you've been eating.
I feel like I wouldn't be doing our program justice if I didn't give a little bit of nutrition education to you guys. So Piper would like to tell you about the smoothie, what's in it, and why it's good for you. And then me and Owen will give you a little tidbit on why the caprese salad's good for you.
So this smoothie, first of all, has spinach, which spinach has several vitamins and minerals. The vitamins include vitamin A and C. Vitamin C is really good for your skin. And it also has folic acid, which is needed for cell growth. And then it has calcium, which is good for your bones. The bananas have potassium, which is really good for cramps. And the flaxseed has fiber, which helps you feel full.
Helps you go to the bathroom.
Yes, it does. And the peanut butter has unsaturated fat, which also helps you feel full. And the almond milk has calcium, which again is really good for bone growth. So you may have not liked the taste of the smoothie, but your body really liked it.
Okay, 1 minute. All right, caprese salad. We have the mozzarella, calcium, super good for your bones. We all want strong bones, especially as we age. We all know that's super important. The basil, full of antioxidants. Different processes in your body cause you to have free radicals, which can cause cancer and different diseases. So we always want to include antioxidants in our diet. And what else? The tomato. Would you like to talk about the tomato?
Yeah, it's the lycopene. It's good for, that's what
Which
gives
is
it
the
the red
red
color.
pigment?
Yeah, so it's really good for prostate cancer. I'm sure that, is there anything? I think that's the biggest one. I'm not sure. The eyes, and then the tomatoes, you said they had the antioxidants and stuff.
Yeah, super good stuff for your body. Thank you guys, appreciate it.